difference. Thank you for joining a Doctor's Crafty Life today. Today I'll be sharing with you how I make this simple clogs using no last from mostly supplies I got from my local store. The first thing I'll be using is this fantastic clog sole that I got from Ohms at Etsy. That's where I usually get my clogs from. It takes a while to get it because it's international, but you can get many different designs for a very low price. So I have this pair I'll be using to make this simple sandals with. The next item I'll be using is this suede leather, this black suede leather that I purchased for very inexpensive price from my local Hobby Lobby. Now you can get a lot of scrap leather locally from Joann's, mostly Hobby Lobby and other scrap stores. They have packs of very inexpensive leather that you could use for shoe making. These also are for my insole, which is an optional process of lining the insole. I'll be using these 2 pieces of scrap leather I also purchased from Hobby Lobby. The foam for the insole will be this high density ABA foam I purchased from Hobby Lobby as well. They carry packs of it in white, different, they have 3 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 10 millimeters in white and black. So I usually purchase my foam from there. All the supplies I'll be using is glue. I'll be using water-based glue for the insole, which is also it's an optional process, and cement to attach the insole to the sole. Other supplies I'll be using are my hammer, a pair of scissors to cut the fabric, to cut the leather, and nail tacks. I got this pack of nail tacks, very inexpensive nail tacks from Amazon.com. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start. The first part of the process is really to prepare the upper. Okay, so the first part of making any shoe is designing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is design my shoe. I would like to make a shoe that crosses X in the front and then sandal in the back. A little regular Mary Jane type sandal in the back. So the first thing I'm gonna do is figure out how I wanna make my front. I think I'm gonna go with I like thick pieces, so I'm gonna go with 3 inches of 3-inch strips. So I'm gonna make 2 3-inch strips, or just one, which I will cut 4 times. So I'm gonna have this 3-inch strip here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. Then I'm gonna test it to make sure it's long enough for my foot. So, and then based on how long it is, trim it the way I need to in the ends. The next part is I'm gonna place my foot in the clogs the way I want it to be, and I'm gonna put the piece right there to see how long it is and see if it fits. And that fits pretty well. I'm gonna trim off some just because I don't want to waste too much of my suede, so I'm gonna cut it there, and the back part should be fine. And then I'm gonna turn it around again and see if I were to put it over here, how would it look, and is it long enough? So there and there, so it's long enough for my front pieces. So I'm good for this part. So so now I'm gonna take it up and take it to the table and cut the other. So now I'm just gonna trim this piece slightly so it's not too long. I mean, you can leave it the same way, but it doesn't matter. So here is my front pieces. I'm gonna have 4 of these strips. Again, we're making this cloth with no shoe last needed, just using your foot and the sole. So the next piece is the back piece. So how do I make this piece? I'm gonna try to make it by just estimating how it should look from the back and then drawing it across and then trying it on my foot. So I'm gonna fold, so I have a piece of 8x11 paper. I'm gonna fold it halfway. Then I'm gonna draw what a sandals will look like on the back. So it should, let me pull this down so you're able to see a little bit better. So to make the back piece of the shoe, it's gonna be two pieces, one that wraps around with the buckle and the other one that is supposed to be the strap that goes around the back of your ankle. So this is the center back of your ankle here, and I'm gonna draw what I think your shoe should look like if you put it on your foot. So I'm gonna try to estimate what the size of the back of my foot and what it should look like. So I'm gonna draw two lines, one that goes down like that, and then another one that goes down like that. So I have these two lines that I think that's what it should look like. I think it tapers a little bit too quickly, so I'm gonna erase that, and I am going to draw it away. I know this is sort of a estimation, but honestly, when you make your own shoes, there's a lot of, this is called, I guess this is the designing part of the shoes. I'm not using a shoe last, I'm just using pretty much, I'll be using my foot. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this one first and see. So what I will do is I cut across those two lines. So I'm gonna cut there, and then I'm gonna cut across this one, and then I'm gonna try it on my foot to see if it fits. If it doesn't, I'll do it again until I get it right, because I'm trying to do this without, now this seems a little bit short just looking at it, but I'm gonna go ahead and place it anyway and see how it sits on my foot. All right, so I have my foot here, and this is the piece that I just cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and place it and see how it looks. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and place it there. I'll say it looks pretty accurate as far as where it sits. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll put this a little lower so you can see it a little better. So right here, so it sits like this. And I think that's pretty accurate, except it is short. So I'm gonna go ahead and extend it down so I have room to nail it down there. And I think I'll want my straps a little bit wider, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. So I brought the piece back to the table. I'm going to fold it over again and place it down so I can cut another piece that's longer than the last. So I'm just gonna move this one higher up here, and I want a piece that's longer and wider. So I'm just gonna draw what I have here, and then I'll increase it the way I need to. All right, so here's that piece that I just redrew here. I'm gonna increase, I would like the width is fine here, but I would like it to spread out a little bit more lower down, there. So it's a lot more wider. So I don't want to increase that inner piece because that sits very nicely. I want it to be wider, so I'm going to spread it out in the front instead. I'm going to go ahead, it's going to be longer than I need, but it's better to be longer than shorter, because once I put the nails, I can always trim off the excess that I don't need. And so here's my new back, the swing, the back, this piece that goes around the back. Here's the new piece. I'm just gonna cut here so it's nice and flat up here. It doesn't taper off. Yep, so there it is. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead again and just try it and make sure that it really fits the way I want it to, and if it doesn't, I adjust it. So that's how I get this back piece. So I went ahead and redrew the piece on the paper. There's the old piece, and then I just increased it in the front side because the back fit very well. I didn't want to increase it here, so I increased it in the front and made it longer, so the strap is bigger and moves forward and wider. The next piece is to create the buckle strap that goes around the front of your ankle. So that's what we're gonna do next. That part is pretty simple because it's just a long piece of a long strip of paper. So I think I want my strap to be about the length, about the width of this here. So I'm gonna go with about 1 inch strap. I'm gonna just take my graduated ruler, clear ruler, and I'm just gonna place here and draw my 1 inch across. Now there is no science to this. This is how I make my shoes at home. This is DIY. I am not a trained shoe teacher. I have not learned any detail on shoemaking and shoe aesthetics. I just make my shoes at home and I like the outcome, so I do whatever it takes and figure out how to make it. And I think, you know, in medicine we say make one, so that we say see one, make one, teach one. So if you can make one, you can teach one. So I am just trying to share with everyone how I make my shoes at home, how it's possible to make shoes at home. So I have this strip. So this is the strip that's going to be going across here to my strap. So I'm going to put it on my foot and try it on. So to do that, and then I'll tape it where I want it and draw the marks where I want it, and then cut how, you know, make sure that the length is okay. So we're going to go back to my foot and my clog. So back here, I'm gonna put this back, my foot back in my shoe. So I'm gonna put this piece where I want it and tape it down. So I'm gonna use masking tape for this. So I put it where I want it in the back. Okay. Tape it down. And I put it again where I want it here. Make sure they're about the same spot, and I mark it down. I'm just gonna make it a little loose so it's not too tight. There we are. So I like how that fits there. And I move it back a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to take my strap piece and put it there. Make sure my strap piece is long enough. So I put it across and make sure it's long enough. So there we go. So my strap piece is good size enough. So you have two choices. You can either use hardware to attach this, or you can sew it down. And I think I'm just gonna sew it down here. And then you have, it's just enough on this side. Kind of hard to see on this side to do the buckle. So on this side, so it's like that on this side. You see, it's just long enough to buckle it over here. So I'm gonna just mark on it where those areas would be, where it would sit. That way I know when I'm cutting it where I want to sew it, and I'll mark those. I'm just gonna draw 2 lines here. So that goes, and 2 lines here. So that's it. All right, so I'm gonna take this back off and go back to the table. Okay, so this is my clogs design that I have made so far, and so I use my foot to get exactly the length of what I'll need to cut. And so what I will do here is I have to know exactly where it ends, because it doesn't need too much of a seam allowance. I'm going to draw a line here where it ends and then give it a little bit of room so I know exactly where I'm going to be placing it. So I'm going to do that with all the pieces. So I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to just kind of use my hand to run it, and it gives me a line, and then I'll just draw across that. So if you can see here where the lines are, where it ends, there and there. And then I did the same thing for the other side too. And then I'm going to go ahead and on the wood piece, just make simple marks exactly where it would be. So there, where the pieces would end. So I need to take off the tape. And I'm just going to make another mark. So for this one, I'm going to make a mark there. So you can see here I marked exactly where I would put my there and there, where I will put my back piece. I'm gonna go ahead and mark all the areas, and then the design will be done. I'll be ready to cut the pieces out, and I will do the insole separately and put it in, and then I'll cut the pieces out and lay it out, and it's done.